sign your name up so that way we can make sure that you're included in that raffle. I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Selena Blea, and I am the Assistant Director of Student Employment and Equity Programs for Classroom to Career Hub. I often partner with Sam, and Sam, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you're so awesome.
Thank you, Selena. Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Borrego, and I'm the coordinator for First Generation Initiative. So I work with all of the first gen students that we have on campus. And at MSU, we define that as any student whose parent or guardian did not earn a bachelor's degree. So I myself am first gen, and there's a lot of people on this call who are also first gen. So thank you all so much for coming and helping us give really important tips and information to our students.
Thank you, Sam. And agreed. I am first gen as well. I will always recognize as first gen, and I wish I had opportunities like this when I was working on my undergrad to know how to prepare for my career and life after college. So again, thank you so much, panelists, for being here. You will not be hearing a lot from me throughout this because we have a wonderful student moderator who's going to lead the discussion. So I'd like to introduce Jose Puente. He is a sociology major and he will be graduating next spring. So congrats, Jose. He is also a first gen student and he works with Sam and first gen initiative. So Jose, take it away.
Thank you, Selena. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody's having a good day so far. You know, don't watch the TV too much today. I know we're currently in some anxiety moments today and tomorrow, but welcome, everyone. Selena is kind enough to put in the sign in. So if you have not signed in, please make sure to do so. It's in the chat. But other than that, welcome to the employer panel. As Selena mentioned before, this is a predetermined, the questions have already been predetermined, but the panelists don't know which ones they will receive. And there will be two sections. We will be talking about the hiring process and the panelist experience. So I'm gonna take it away with the panelists and I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. You know, please state your name, the company name, job title, and preferred pronouns if you're comfortable. But panelists, if you want to introduce yourselves, go ahead.
Sure, I'll go ahead. This is Trinity Webb. I am with Empower Retirement. My title is Campus Recruiting Partner, so that includes everything having to do with campus. And then I just go by Trinity.
Thank you, Trinity.
I'll go. My name is Jesse Plata. I'm a project manager with J.E. Dunn Construction. Pronouns he, him, his.
Thank you, Jesse.
Hi, everybody. My name is Oscar Rodriguez. I work for NetApp, a Fortune 500 company that does cloud solutions for data. I am a software engineer, and I go by he, his.
Thank you, Oscar.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jake, and I go by he, him, his. I work as an executive recruiter for a firm called SPMB in Silicon Valley, but we have a small office here in Denver. And we help find CEOs, CTOs, anybody that's C-level exec for SaaS companies. I'm the guy that's talking to them. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Jake.
I will jump in. I'm Jessica Pierce. I work for Namaste Solar Electric, and I'm an assistant controller, which is really just a weird accounting title. That means I look at financials and protect the financials of the company, and I use she, her, hers.
Thank you, Jessica.
Driz, are you on this call by chance? I think that's the only one we might be missing. All right, I don't think so.
All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the questions about the hiring process. The first question comes for you, Jesse. I'm sorry that you have to be the first one, but what are the most important skills that you look for in a new hire?
Yeah, so I think so we're trying to hire for people that fit culture. So one is is this person a good culture fit? Are do they have strong strategic thinking skills? We like to ask questions about problems or mistakes that they may have had and how they've approached those. And what we're trying to gather, usually from interviews, is do they exhibit three qualities? Are they hungry? Do they seek out opportunities? Are they humble? Do they know how to work in a team? Do they learn from their mistakes? And then lastly, are they smart? Do they do they have those strategic thinking skills? How do they answer those questions? And really, and really, again, it's more about culture fit. How do they answer those questions, and will they be a good fit culturally for the company?
Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. And if you have any questions, if any students or anybody here has any questions, make sure to put those in the chat. Selena is going to be keeping track of those questions, and then maybe we can go ahead and answer them. But we're going to leave 10 minutes open at the end to ask any questions. But thank you, Jesse, for the answer. And I guess this question is coming in for Jessica and Trinity. What are some common mistakes you have seen candidates make in the job search process? And do you have any examples?
Sure, I can go first there. Common mistakes are know where you're applying. If you're applying for jobs, make sure that if you include a cover letter, address the correct company. Really pay attention to your resume. Make sure that you tailor that to that job specifically. Don't just use one general resume to blanket apply to a lot of jobs. You want to show off what skills you have pertaining to that role, not just generally any job out there. Specifically, I've had, dress the part, whether it's a video interview or in person. I've had people show up in sandals and shorts for interviews. So, really, really take it seriously.
Yeah, echo Trinity on everything that was just said. So all very important. And just to add, just a preparedness and definitely knowing about the company. And I've interviewed entry-level to C-suite, and actually entry-level candidates are typically more prepared in a lot of cases than our higher level roles. So I do want to call out that it's not something that goes away the further along you get in your career, first of all. And an example I have is we did a phone interview with a CFO candidate, and we just asked them some very basic information about the company that you could easily find on the website. And they went from a very hemming and hawing answer to word for word from the website. And so we immediately nixed them, because we knew that they weren't prepared. And so at the bare minimum, research the website pretty thoroughly before you get to that phone interview.
Thank you. I think it's very crucial. And one of the things that I've been noticing with, the job search is that there's a lot of things going on behind, what website should I use? Where can I put out my information out there? And one of the things that, I want to ask Jake and Oscar is, how do you use LinkedIn when looking for candidates? What do you specifically look for?
So I live and breathe in LinkedIn pretty much all day, every day. And I'd say for a student coming out of school, there's a lot of things that you can do in your LinkedIn profile to make it a lot more creative. The problem with LinkedIn is that everybody thinks if I have a LinkedIn account, they'll find me. And that's not necessarily the case. It's an algorithm that's just trying to pick up on keywords. And so When you create a very basic LinkedIn profile without any descriptions of what you're doing in your titles, if you don't talk about any activities that you did in school, if you just keep it so basic, you have to understand that everybody in your classroom, actually everybody in this call right now, is competing against you to find that job. And so your LinkedIn profile needs to be as creative as possible. You need to put something like in your title, recent graduate, spring, or I guess winter 2020 graduate or spring 2021 graduate, looking for this. You need to be proactive in what you want to be reached out for from the algorithm to pick up on, oh, you're calling yourself a software engineer or you're calling yourself a project manager for construction, whatever it is. That is what's going to be picked up on. And if you lack in your creativity and you just think everything's going to come to you, that's not the case at all. So go wild on your LinkedIn profile, upload everything, all of your papers you've done, anything that you want to do, follow companies that you want to be a part of. You have to be extremely active to get the most out of LinkedIn versus not.
Thank you, Jake.
I agree with Jake. So I'm not actually a recruiter, so I don't live and breathe in LinkedIn. But I know when our recruiters give us resumes, what we look for are those projects that Jake was talking about. Hey, have they done this project? And those projects, if you list them, during the interview process, they can take you a long way. They'll ask you examples of, hey, describe when you had a project that was hard but you succeeded, or describe this or that. And if you have a couple of projects, just say 2 projects that you can talk about in your resume to really bring out, then those will take you through the interview process. You can talk about them. They'll be like boom, boom, boom. And when we're looking through resumes, you're looking at them. If we like what we see, we keep them and not just toss them. And so if we see a project that we like or some sort of one of the reasons you've made it to the next step. So really include.
Yeah, and something that I was going to add on to that, as far as your LinkedIn profile and being creative, and to answer Jordan's question that came in, the way to be professional and creative at the same time is when you're coming out of school, obviously you're not going to have a ton of experience. You might not have internships or everything listed that you want to have listed that somebody else might have. But that's where you got to creative. If you worked at a grocery store, then call yourself a stock person engineer, or call yourself a grocery subject matter expert. You can call yourself whatever title you want. Don't go off of the title that your boss gave you or that the job description had. Nobody's going to challenge it. If anything, they're going to appreciate that you're thinking outside of the box and you're doing things different. So take advantage of that.
Yeah, this is Trinity. I'd also add, don't be afraid when you find, if you have a short list of companies that you really would love to work for, don't be afraid to connect with those recruiters or even people in the business. I know from my perspective, I tell students, connect with me, but also connect with, if you're a finance student, connect with people in finance. Just reach out. Like, networking will be huge for you.
Yeah, to add to Trinity's point, also, if somebody hits you up on LinkedIn and it's like, I'm not sure if I would like to work there, go through the interview process. If say you're in tech and you really want to work for Google, well, interview three or four other places, and that'll really get you comfortable with hard questions, with the whole interview process. Become comfortable in those situations. It'll really help. And I know people at work that still do that, even though they're comfortable at what they're working. They'll interview with 1 or 2 places a year, and kind of just to keep that momentum going.
I appreciate the answers from Trinity, Oscar, and Jake. I think I 2 weeks ago, I started to add a little bit more flair to my LinkedIn, just to see, what can happen. And I guess I'm finally starting to, catch up. I'm getting a lot of messages, and I'm like thinking, are these robots or are these actual people? But, creativity is something that I like to add to anything I do. And that kind of leads to my next question. How much personality should a candidate feel comfortable sharing? For example, if humor is a big characteristic of a candidate, should they bring it into an interview? And Jake And Jesse, what do you think?
Jesse, I don't know if you wanted to speak first. Is Jesse on the call?
No, go ahead. I'll
Oh,
tag
yeah,
on.
there he is. No, I just think, I don't know. It's an interesting question. I mean, you should never be afraid to show who you are in an interview, but you need to keep it professional. I would say save your humor and save any kind of jokes that you want to make for maybe the second or third round interview when they're asking you to come on site again or have dinner or have another video call in this situation. They want to get a sense that you're personable. So it never hurts to shoot questions like, what'd you do this weekend? Or this is what I did this weekend, or talk a little bit about your hobbies. But starting off the conversation with a joke, I'm not sure how well that's going to go. Always wait till after maybe the first or second interview to start showing that humorous side. But show the personality side that you are and that the hobbies you explore and the people that you meet or interests that you like. 100% dive into that on the first round interview.
Yeah, I'd echo the same things. One of the things, be yourself, but be professional. One of the things that I like to do is use LinkedIn for that, know who I'm going to interview with, maybe look them up on LinkedIn and get an idea of, where in the organization they might fall. If they're C-suite or, if they're mid or low level management, then, might help you get an idea of kind of what to expect and who, what questions they might be asking. So I think it's very important to be yourself, be respectful, be professional. And I know at least for our case, when we try to hire somebody, it's usually 2 or 3 interviews. So the first one, is trying to understand your professional skills. And then the second and third, usually it's trying to get to know the person. Are they going to be a good match, a good fit for the culture, for our organization?
Yeah, and one thing that I just thought of, and Jesse's got a great example of this, but one way to show yourself in a humor type of way, or if you want somebody to get a little more of an understanding from you than a 30-minute interview, the great thing about interviews these days is they're happening virtually. You can do them in your own room, which should be somewhat professional, but Jesse's got a guitar behind him. That's a perfect talking point, little icebreaker thing where the interviewer could say, hey, it looks like you play guitar, you're into music. What's your favorite? Or anything like that. You'll see in my background, I've got a goofy head over here. And I'm a big fan of Disney. And I just think when people see the goofy head, they're like, oh, what's going on with that? And it just breaks up a little bit. And if you don't have anything interesting in your background and you're stuck in your small 800 square foot apartment or small room, do what Oscar's doing and have a cool background. You can choose any background you want. Don't go crazy with it, but make it uplifting, fun, something. Maybe have the background of your school behind you. Just something that stands out of saying, this is who I am and this is what I like.
Thank you. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate it. And I think I'm going to hold in my jokes until the interview process, and I'll just talk more about how I like to build computers, because that's a hobby that I enjoy. But I don't know if it'll bore them too much, but who knows. Now, before we move on to the next question, we do have our panelists one of the panelists here. Driss, would you like to introduce yourself? He's working on his audio, but we'll just wait and see. In the meantime, we will move on to the next question. But let's see. So when it comes to inclusion, how do you foster an environment where people who come from different backgrounds know you value their ideas? And this is a question for Jessica.
Yeah, it's actually something we have been continuously working on. And so there's a few ways. So first of all, we've kind of had to redefined our culture fit to make sure that we're not being overly narrow and just being like, oh, these people are all like us, we want to go mountain biking with them or something like that. Because that can sometimes be the case where you hire people that you want to hang out with, and they may or may not be the best person for the job, or you might be missing out on some great candidates who you could bring in if you would just, kind of just throw out that arbitrary qualification or thing that you're looking for. So that's a big one for us, is really redefining what we mean by that. And really what it means is values alignment. So just in the renewable energy sector is like you care about climate change, like that's a big one for us. And really focusing on that kind of stuff. And then the other things that I try and do in my team are have multiple pathways of communication. So some people aren't comfortable speaking up in a large meeting. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Like, here's this large meeting. And also you can come to me and talk to me privately in confidence. Like if you had an idea there and you didn't bring it up, I'm not going to hold it against you, because different people have different communication styles, introvert, extrovert, stuff like that. And then finally, if I do find that someone has really good ideas when they bring it to me and they generally feel confident, I will sometimes encourage them to speak up and be like, hey, I want to hear what this person has to say, and allow them to really share that skill that they have with a larger group and kind of amplify their voice.
Thank you. And you brought an interesting point that I didn't think about, but when you're hiring employees that are introvert, how do you get them out to open up a little bit, or, how do you include them?
So, you kind of have to read the room. And I think interviewers, this is really the burden of the interviewer, is to have the emotional intelligence to be like, oh, this person isn't they're not unqualified, they just have a different communication style. And I really think that it's important to consider that, if it's required for the role that you be an excellent public speaker, that might be a little different than if you're like me and you work in spreadsheets all day. It doesn't really matter a lot if you're super outgoing or super introverted. So you really need to adjust for the qualifications, the actual job requirements, to make sure you're not just throwing people out that are really really well qualified, would be great at the job, bring a lot of new ideas.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Okay, good. This is Dres.
Awesome. Idris or Dris, welcome to the panel. Would you like to introduce yourself, your name, the company that you work for, and your pronouns?
My name is Dres Abba. I'm an RF engineer with Lockheed Martin, and I went to MSU Denver. Sorry I'm late, just had a couple of meetings before I was here. So yeah.
No worries, you're fine. So you also get this question that I asked Jessica, but the question is, when it comes to inclusion, how do you foster an environment where people who come from different backgrounds know you value their ideas?
Yeah, how to do it. So always be prepared for any interview or stuff like that. Like I remember my interview with Lockheed here, or my other interview, because I worked with level 3 communication before Lockheed. You always be prepared. I drove the night before the place where I'm gonna have an interview to know the path and everything, or the road. I don't want to be late or something like that. So give yourself a good 20 minutes to 30 minutes to be on before time. And honestly, I will give you a good experience that happened to me with level 3 communication. So I went there and I tried to park my car, and then someone tried to park. I just gave him the spot, and the guy appreciated it, and then he left. So I just said thank you, and I went to park farther. And then I went to the interview, and then the guy who interviewed me was the guy who let him park his spot there. So it was basically that was the point I got internship with him. So the thing is even be prepared, well dressed, and also try to update your resume the same thing as the job description. Take time, please, and read the job description, and make sure the cover letter matches the job description. Because now it's not the recruiter who's gonna read your job description; it's a computer, and they're gonna looking for the keyword. And if you're not having the exact keyword, you're not even gonna pass the computer. You're not gonna have this opportunity for the interview. So just make sure, take your time, update the resume, cover letter, and do it. So it's huge if you have a great resume, especially and then matching the keyword. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Juris. I appreciate it. Now, the next question is for everyone, for every of the panelists here. What do you see as strengths of first-gen college students when hiring?
I can go first. I have a couple. Sorry, I don't like jumping in on Zoom calls. It's so awkward regardless. No one's ever going to accuse a first-gen student of not having work ethic. And I think that's a huge success factor in any job, is a strong work ethic. So like the fact that you're a first-gen college student just shows that you have a really strong work ethic and drive, which is, I mean, that's probably like 80% of the way there, honestly, in many, many jobs. So that's what I look for.
This is Jesse. So as a first gen student myself, I think the biggest strength is what Jessica was saying. You've got a strong work ethic. You've had to kind of blaze your own trail. For me, you have to seek out your own resources, grants, scholarships. Maybe you're working full time and going to school to try to pay your way. Or so those are all things that you should highlight in an interview, because they're you're juggling all those things, and it shows initiative that you've jumped over roadblocks or hurdles to get where you're at. So for me, it also shows that you're not afraid to confront adversity, and you're able to work through challenges. So.
Yeah, I think being a first-gen student too, it's work ethic, it's determination. To what everybody else said, it's right. You overcome hurdles. There's that motivation factor of, hey, I'm the first to do this, and I'm gonna prove to myself that I can do it. You take that and you convert that into the workplace, right? That comes across as, we know you're going to be motivated. You're going to be a hard worker, and you are motivated to grow and develop yourself. I think those are important aspects of, that those intrinsic motivators that led you to where you are today.
I'm going to go off of what Trini said. Yeah, you growing and being first gen really shows that you want to learn. And a lot of my job in tech is learning and learning, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing in everybody else. But you want to learn and grow, you want to grow and learn, and you're showing that by being first gen.
Awesome. I appreciate the responses, and me being a first generation student, I feel like sometimes I struggle a little bit with, how can I, show myself and, have this company look at me and say, I think we can hire him, or maybe we need to look somewhere else. But that comes to the next question that I want to ask, and this goes for Oscar and Trinity. What stands out to you on a cover letter or resume? Can you tell us a little bit about how you use them?
Sure. To be honest, in my roles, I don't really read cover letters unless there's a need to, unless we're specifically asking for it. On a resume, I mentioned it earlier, it's be to the point, right? Read that job description, tailor your resume to that job description. Again, as a new grad, right? If you're applying for a job, you may not have some of those qualifications. That's okay. But try to express in your resume how that matches what they're looking for. And then you convert that into an interview, which is a different conversation. But and make sure it's clean, it's not cluttered. Use bullet points, don't use paragraphs. No recruiter has time to read paragraphs of information about what your last job was or things of that nature, right? You want to be clear and concise. Education objectives are good sometimes. I'm going to get that through talking to you based on your education and any applicable internships or work experience that you may have. So I would just say clean and concise is best.
Yeah, that's exactly what Trinity said. Also, and I've said this before, just have a good examples of the projects you've done. One or two examples. Hey, those are really going to get you far. And kind of to what Jordan says. Hey, if you're nervous, how do you get past that point? Well, if you know those two, let's say two projects, you've studied them, you're ready to talk about those projects. You won't run out of stuff to talk about. You'll have examples. They're interviewing you because they saw what they saw stuff in the resume that they liked, and actions speak louder than words. So right now in the resume, they're just words, but you're speaking to those words and you're showing how you've been successful in those projects.
Thank you. And a follow-up question to that, how long should I keep my cover letter or my resume? Usually I keep hearing, one page is the optimal place that you want to be at, but for other, places, they want more than, a page. So what do you think, Trinity? Or Jesse, go ahead. I saw your mic unmute.
Yeah, I was going to kind of tag on to the previous question, but I'll answer. Yeah, just knowing for, I guess, the previous question, tailoring to where you're applying. For me, I'm in construction now, but I was in architecture before. And my resumes for when I was applying with architecture firms were a lot different. I was trying to show my creative side, trying to show my graphic skills, and then whenever I switched over to construction, I don't think those resumes flew very well because they were too elaborate, maybe. So yeah, tailoring it to the company that you're applying towards. And then to follow up on your second question, for the cover letter, yeah, I don't see too many right now, but keep those succinct, maybe a paragraph or two. And if you're going to include one, talk about how your skills can add value to the company. So for I guess example for construction, if you look up J.E. Dunn and you see that we do our own self-perform concrete with our own labor. Maybe you did a summer or poured some driveways or something like that, and you can talk about how the skills that you learned in school and then the skills that you've had, life experience, how that can kind of play into the work that company does. And then for the resume length, yeah, that's a tough one. For our business, in construction, I see usually it's just one page. And like others have said, you'll get the idea of, objectives and goals and everything that person might be wanting to chase from the interview. But I know, same thing. When I was in architecture, mine were a little bit longer. But yeah, for the most part, it's usually about a page and then paragraph or two for the cover letter.
Yeah, I would say this, Trinity. Being a new grad, you're probably not going to have a really long resume, just the nature of you haven't had a lot of jobs before. I mean, I've seen resumes in technology. I used to recruit in technology. I had 20-page resumes because there's lots of smaller projects that people worked on. So as your career grows, your resume will naturally grow with it. If you need more room, everything's digital. It's not like we're getting resumes in the mail. So I can easily scroll through 2 pages if I need to. So just make sure, again, you're concise with what you're talking about, your responsibilities, achievements, things like that, and it'll naturally come out through your resume. From my perspective, don't worry about it being 1 page. Tell me what you need to tell me.
Thank you, Trinity. And you bring up an interesting point, you know, how we're moving into a digital area of, you know, turning our resumes in through email and having, you know, companies look at them through that way. And one of the things that I want to ask Jake and Driss is, you know, obviously there are a lot of distractions working from home. Uh, you can have children crying in the back, or even, you know, just see your uh, it can happen. Anything can happen. Like outside yesterday, a tree fell, and I'm just like scared. But you know, what is the best advice, you know, that you want to give for those interviewing from home? You know, should they put the kids outside? Should you know, tell the people you know, that are working on construction, you know, to stop? You know, what if that distraction comes up? How do you you know, handle it?
Okay, so one thing, luckily, I don't have to work from home. That's a good thing, because one week actually I tried to work from home, and then I used like 18 hours vacation because I get distracted really quick, and then I decided to clean the oven. I don't know why I did that, but anyway. So yeah, if you have an interview and someone called you, like I had this experience before. I was driving and I had a phone interview, and there is nothing wrong. But I said, "I'm sorry, I'm driving. Can we reschedule this phone call?" You have to be fully prepared. You are selling yourself. If you can focus and if your background is not helping you to do that, there is nothing wrong to say like, yeah, I wasn't expecting that you call me. Of course, if someone just called you not a meeting or something like that, you know, I think it's not. Just say reschedule it, have a time, have a good background around you, no sounds, nothing. Be prepared for the interview because you are selling yourself. If you're not prepared for the interview, you are not going to be prepared for work. So I think you have to be prepared. Everything is quiet, dressed well, and you don't try to drive or I'm gonna go to Starbucks or something. You know, be ready for it. Because I have seen people that have interviewed in Starbucks. I was like, come on, really? Just take some times and focus about it. It's your career. You know, you didn't go to school for 4 years. You work full time. You didn't sleep. Like you work hard for the 4 years in college. So when you have this opportunity for the interview, take advantage of it and be prepared for it 100%. So no room for mistakes. Yep.
Yeah, I
Thank
would
you,
say
Driss.
there's a little, everybody's human, and especially these days, you have to have a pretty strong understanding of what's happening in today's world. If you have kids or you have dogs or there is construction going on, no, don't go out to the construction crew and say, hey, can you quiet down? I've got an interview. Find somewhere else to go to a friend's house, go to your parents' house, figure out a way to try and block out the noise. You know, if you have children, shut the door. Like there's plenty of times that there are distractions on an interview when you're working from home. A dog could bark, something could happen. We all get it. Everybody understands that those things will happen. It's if it continues to go on, that's where it gets to be a problem. I mean, think about in an in-person interview. There's been times where somebody has had a pen in their hand and they've clicked it nonstop. That's like, you know what, no, I'm done. Like that's just so distracting. It's like you should have learned the first time when you were clicking, like stop, put the pen down. If the distraction keeps happening, that's not a good look for you. But do understand, call it out and say, hey, sorry, my kids are running around, or sorry, my dog just freaked out, a squirrel was in the house, something. People get it, they understand, but do your best.
Thank you.
I just wanted to
Thank
add
you,
one
Jake.
thing,
Go
if
ahead,
that's okay.
Jessica.
Yeah, I view this situation as an opportunity, honestly, because you can show them really quickly how you're going to handle a situation that comes up. And if you hand it professionally and you just address it and move past it and say, you know, excuse me, I'm going to go deal with that. I apologize. Or that is a totally different impact on the interviewer than if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what to do. Like it has a totally different impact. So you could really reframe it as an opportunity. And also, you know, everyone should understand that things are coming up in this very new reality, and interviewing is a two-way street. And if you have an interviewer who is maybe not super understanding, you know, that's something that you can take from that interview back about how it might be to work there and how they might react to you. So there's a couple opportunities there, I think, that any interviewer today could take away.
I appreciate the answer, Jessica, and I think that the way you phrased it, I think that's a good way to handle these situations that come up randomly. So, interesting take on that, and thank you. We're gonna go ahead and move on to your experience part of the panel, and this is a question for everyone of the panelists. What is one piece of advice no one told you, but that you wish you were given?
So Trinity here. I think the networking piece, I don't think people understand the power of networking, and finding good mentors. To have a great mentor and being able to utilize your networking skills can take you a lot of places. I've talked to a lot of executives, and that is one thing that is a common theme with all of them is the networking and how they kind of got that first job and that third job, and now they're an executive vice president. Combined with that, that mentoring and networking piece, it kind of goes hand in hand, I think.
I'll go. This is Jesse. For me, I think it was um, the the differences or the nuances of going from like a individual contributor to managing people. As a first gen student, and like I've always relied on that strong work ethic, and I can get things done, and I'll try to take things on. And then when making that shift to when you have to start working with teams and managing people, it's a lot different. There's things that are going to pop up where somebody may be having a difficult situation. So it's, I guess, one thing, learn empathy and learn it early, because your job at that point is to learn how to motivate people and get them to get them to excel and make your team successful. So.
One thing I learned is, hey, ask for help and ask for help early. That's always a great thing. People love talking about what they do and love saying, oh, look, I can help you here, I can help you there. So don't be afraid to do that. Yeah. And then one for interviewing, one good advice, or one thing that my I think it was a counselor told me, was at the end of the interview, like, ask a question. Shows that you want the job. Like, one good question that I've heard is hey, if I got the job today, what type of research should I do so I if I got the job today, what type of stuff do you want me to look at so I can be successful? And that shows that you care, that you want to be successful, that you want to kill it at the job. So yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you. Jake, go ahead. Or Andres.
So I just want to add, for the interview, when you have an interview, do not forget to send thank you note. It's really nice to send the thank you note at the end of your interview, and take time and write it, and then always offer like, hey, if you have please any questions, feel free to ask me or reach out to me. That's another thing. You show that you're interested. Some people, you have to read your interviewer. If it's an old school, he likes like handwritten note, please do it. It's nice. If he likes emails, is another thing too. So, but also follow up with the thank you note. A week later, there's nothing wrong by following up. You want to know what's going on with your interview. That's one. And two, when you get the job, I was like electrical engineering at MSU Denver. And then I went to Lockheed Martin, like aerospace, totally different thing. And there is nothing called stupid questions. Ask questions. And also for the next generation, I would say, please do not always start like sending message through Skype or emails. Leave your cube or your office, go meet people face to face, build your networking, and do not be afraid of meeting people, especially if you want to be an engineer or whatever. Meet people and have that face-to-face conversation. So yeah, this is another two things I always advise like anyone I know: be ready to meet people, because I think millennials, and we are part of them, like sending emails, nothing done, send another email. No, go meet him and talk, and you build, because that guy that you're gonna talk to him now, he could be your manager one day. And honestly, like with Lockheed, a lot of people they goes around, or any other companies, he can be your coworkers now. Tomorrow he can be your manager, and next year he can interview with you. So, and build that network with everyone. So that's a good thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like one piece of advice as a student that I wish I was given, and it it's hard to imagine this, but I'll bring it up again. I know I said it earlier, but literally searching for a job is competitive. Everybody is gunning for the same kind of opportunity that you're looking for. If you're applying, 10 other people applied. So what's going to make you stand out? But before even getting to that part, what I wish I was told as a student was that the research piece, you might have a friend that's like, oh, I had 4 interviews this month. I'm just all over the place, and I feel like I'm crushing it. That person might not be doing as well of a job as they think they are, because, and it's good that they do have that many interviews, but you need to take maybe a month or 2 months to really build out an Excel spreadsheet or a piece of paper and say, what are the 3 industries I want to be a part of? What are the 5 companies in Denver that are enterprise, big, Fortune 500? What are some medium-sized companies? What are small, medium-sized business like startups that I could work for? Then you've got 10 companies, 10 or 15 companies in each industry that you want to work for and apply for. Research what you, and I always give this advice to people, but in this day and age, you never know what you want to do out of college, but if you know who you can work for, then do it. If I was out of a job, Disney called me and said, hey, can you work the front lines? I would say, yeah, you know what? Because I would be so happy working for that company. You've got a long time. After you graduate, you do not have to find your dream job. You just have to start somewhere that you really like working for. And a year or 2 after that, you can see where you go next. But what's most important is figure out where you want to go instead of rather what you have to do.
Thank you all for your take on this question, and seeing looking at mentors and following up. And that's something that I always like to do, especially with I think Sam here can vouch for me, but I would always email her before applying to the role at First Gen, like, hey, did I get the job? Hey, did I get the job? And I think at one point she got annoyed, but I can't tell. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to one other question before we move on to questions from the audience. But Trinity mentioned something important with mentors and mentorship. This question is for Driss and Jesse. How were you able to find mentors that helped you navigate your career and education? And Trinity, you can also answer as well.
This is Jesse. Yeah, for me, it was a little tough. My parents were always like, "Oh yeah, go to school. You gotta get a job." But they didn't necessarily know how to help me through the process. But so yeah, I went to like Career Center, and talked to the people in the Career Center and got advice on resumes, and how do you apply for jobs, and all that. And then once I landed my first job, it was just being vocal about what I wanted, and where I wanted to go. I think it's really important to be vocal with kind of what you want to learn and what you want to, maybe some of the skills that maybe you don't have and you want to strengthen, and try to get to know the people that you work with. For me, my first mentor was my first job was work for the same company, but we didn't work in the same department. And that person just kind of helped me, whenever I had troubles, or if, whenever my yearly reviews were popping up. So it was kind of making a connection with somebody that could help you along the way. And you kind of have to seek those out. And then now I've got people that I are friends with now, but they work for other companies that, I bounce ideas off of that aren't in the same industry, but, you never really know, who's gonna be there and where who's gonna give you good advice. So yeah, just constantly network, and you'll bump into somebody that is going to have a lot of good experience that that can give you some good advice.
Thank you, Jesse.
So yeah, in school, take advantage of all the opportunity that you have. I had one person, Molly, God, I forget her last name. She helped me a lot in the career center. She gave me even the opportunity for the interview. Writing center, they reviewed my resume. Career center, they reviewed my resume. So they monitor me, like, who helped me to get this point of use those like opportunity that you have. Here at work, always you're gonna work with the lead engineer, so or your manager, or like I said, networking. You're gonna meet people. So you can, when you see someone that can help you and he's ready to mentor you, you can ask him, and he will be more than happy to help you. So, like I said, don't be afraid to ask people and meet people, and you will find them. And then a lot of people, they're really happy to help you. So, so yeah. And then please use, especially if I'm talking for MSU Denver, Career Center helps a lot. Helped me a lot. As you see, like English is like my third language, and helps me a lot, like in everything, writing resumes, cover letters, they review it, and everything. So please take advantage of it.
Thank you,
Yeah,
This
Jesse.
is
don't touch it. We're connected.
This is Trinity. I was just going to say too, it's also, when you get that first job and in other avenues in life, right, you find people who are where you want to be. You identify those leaders or different people to what everybody else is saying, but find that person who's in the position you want in 5 years or whatever that timing is, and ask them to be a mentor. They will help you understand what it took to get there, and then you can do some career planning on your own to say, okay, I know what I need to do, and start setting those goals, in that first role.
Cool. Thank you to the panelists for coming in today and, sharing advice and giving us that little wisdom that we need, us students to succeed and go out into the field and, kind of prepare us for, interviews, meetings, and all these different things that, as students like ourselves are a little bit afraid to, go out there and show others what to do. But thank you, panelists. One round of applause to our panelists, please. Thank you for coming in today. And right now, we're just going to open it to questions from the audience. So if
Just
you
want
have
to
any,
say something here for all the students, guys. Just
yeah,
to let
go
you
ahead,
know,
Chris.
not because you applied for the first job, you cannot get it. Believe me or not, you're gonna be applying for like 100 of the job, and nobody gonna send you even an email. So there's nothing wrong with that. Just like it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't your destiny. So keep applying, and then if you have another interview but didn't work out, learn from it. Don't do the same mistake. So yeah, keep it up all the time, and I promise you will find your job.
Thank you, Dris. One of my I would say mentor told me, don't lay your baskets all in one bag. You know. So yeah, let's open it up for some questions.
I'm sorry, I have to actually drop off. It's the life of a working parent, so I'm going to do a school run right now.
No
But
worries.
I'm going to put my email in the chat, and just in case anyone has any questions specific to finance or renewable energy or just anything in general, if anyone wants to reach out.
Thank you, Jessica. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you taking the time for coming in. Have a good one.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Bye.
Don't be shy.
I have a question. Oh no, you can't see me. Hello. Hi, everybody. I am curious. This isn't really specific to careers, but do you have any recommendations on how students can start building their networks, reaching out to people, and kind of making those like requests for like, hey, can you be my mentor? Or like, how would you approach that?
So you have an opportunity now, actually. You can reach out for people now. There's me, there is Jess and Trinity, and reach out to those people now. Like I said, don't be afraid to ask questions, emails, keep in touch. So this is the best example. And job fairs. So this is the opportunity. Like you can find it now, actually. So
Yeah, I would say like I put this in the chat, but honestly, if you have no idea where to start on who to connect with or who to even talk to, it comes from that original thing that I said, which was research, which is building out like a small spreadsheet of what you want to do or who you want to work for. You can type on LinkedIn Nike or any company, and then you can filter by school. Find the people that went to your school who work for Nike, and then reach out to them. People love talking about themselves. That's why you have 6 panelists on this right now. But if you reach out to somebody and say, how did you get to where you're at? I want to be there someday. Can I buy you a cup of coffee? Or can we have a quick phone call? They're going to say yes. So start doing that. Show the vulnerability early. Show that you're interested in what they've done in their life, and they'll talk.
I was going to answer Alicia's question of what do you mean by finding someone that fits in with the culture. So for us, culture is just being like a team player. You know, when we're hiring, it's not someone, we're not looking for the smartest person that can go and tackle a question. We're looking for someone that, hey, is going to make this team succeed. If the team succeeds, we all succeed. So that's kind of what fitting in with the culture is. But one thing that our team is very good about is having we're pretty diverse, and that's pretty awesome because diversity brings different ideas. So it's fitting in by being a team player, but also bringing your own ideas and not being afraid to share.
Thank you, Oscar. Go ahead, Trinity.
I was just saying, to Oscar's point, that's one thing we look at is diversity is a big thing, but it's bringing in a new grad brings in diversity of thought, experience, all of those things that, I think maybe if people think about diversity, maybe they think just color of skin, right? Ethnic diversity, but it's not. It's all of those things. And I think that's what we look at too is critical thinking skills are one, the ability in that.
Hang on.
To learn are going to be what we look at most when we look at candidates for entry-level roles or internships.
Yeah, I like what Trini said. Yeah, diversity in all aspects. If when hiring, we don't want the next app that you'll be using isn't going to be written by a guy by a room full of 55-year-old white guys. It's different people. There's a sad example is actually seatbelts. Seatbelts used to cause more deaths in women, and that was because the engineers that they tested on were all, or the dummies that they based it off were white men, and so women were dying more because of seatbelts, and then they figured out, oh yeah, there's kind of different shapes and sizes, and let's change that. So that's something that could have been easily avoided if we had a more diverse room.
Thank you, Oscar. And we are officially past 3:30, but if you have any questions, feel free to stay around. And I see that Sam has her hand up. Go ahead, Sam.
Yes, I'm wondering if the panelists wouldn't mind. I see a few people already started, but if you're okay with students reaching out to you, if you wouldn't mind putting your contact info in the chat, and then that way they can just copy paste it or save it. That'd be awesome. But thank you all so much. I have been in my field for a long time, and I took a lot of notes over here. So it was really helpful, I think, no matter what stage you're at in your job search process. So thank you all. Oh, and I want to say thank you for what you said about first-gen students. That made me feel really good. Yeah. And I think other people on the call too.
Yeah, thank you all. And a big shout out to Jose for your awesome moderating skills. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's it. Again, we will hang out for a little bit for anybody else who has any questions. But otherwise, hope you all have a wonderful Thursday. And like always, Sam and I will be around. So if you have any questions, later on this week or even next week or next month, feel free to reach out to us, and we're here to help you out.
And also, don't forget to clean up your social media. So any pictures and stuff like that need to be clean too. So yeah. Well, good luck, guys. I wish you the best. And yeah, it was nice talking to you guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Drews.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Jose, I am so proud of you. Like,
Me too.
you did perfect. Like you blew my mind. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
thank you.
I
Thank
thought-
you so much for doing this.
I thought at
Mm-hmm.
some points I was like, how should I do this? But I think I gotta, after, the first couple of minutes I was a little bit nervous, but then after that I just kept going, and I think I felt more comfortable. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you did fantastic.
you really did.
I'm so proud.
Me
Thank
too.
you.
Oops, let me stop recording. Sorry.